Andrews Lutheran Church in Grand Rapids. Welcome to those of you who are worshiping online. I'm glad that we have this opportunity to worship together. For those of you who are online, you are always welcome to worship here in person each Wednesday at 6 p.m., each Sunday morning at 9 a.m. For those of you who would like to support the ministries of this congregation, there are offering plates in the back for those of you who are in the sanctuary right now. For everyone, online and in person, you can always go to our website, saintand.org, and there is a donate button there. Thank you for your generosity. It makes everything possible that we do here. Appreciate that very much. March has been Minnesota Food Share Month. It's a time that we rally around our local food shelf, and so we have groceries in the pews, and we have these extra pictures of people in the pews. Each picture represents a gift of $10 that went to the local food shelf. It's the end of the month, so we're not taking more groceries for the pews. They're being picked up tomorrow. The pictures are going to come out, but you can still make a difference. If you write a check tonight, you can either write it to the church, put it in the food shelf in the memo line. There is a little shopping cart receptacle on the table in the lobby area. Any checks that are deposited there tonight will be part of the deposit tomorrow that goes to the food shelf. So we can rally one more time for our local food shelf. The April newsletter was posted, emailed, and published yesterday. So check your email if you're on our email list, or you can always go to our website, again, saintand.org, and find it there. We do have some hard copies or some paper copies available on the credenza underneath the office windows in the lobby area if you'd like to get a printed version of that. Lots coming up, of course. We are getting towards the end of the season of Lent. That means Holy Week is coming up pretty soon, and Easter. There's information about that in the newsletter, so know what's coming up, and know that you are invited to be part of any or all of it. Lenten faith mentoring, if that pertains to you, either as an adult or as a confirmation student, the discussion guides are on the credenza, also next to the sermon notes, where you pick your sermon notes up and where you return your sermon notes, so you can pick that up there. Turning to worship tonight, Holden evening prayer. It's an evening prayer. It's a sung prayer service that we have used and loved in this congregation for a long time. The words will all appear in front of you on the screen. If you prefer to have the notes, there are booklets available in the lobby area as well, so you can pick that up. Tonight, Tami Kottke is going to be sharing part of her faith story. We can look forward to that. Kat Root is our cantor, Jan Bilden on piano, Dick Ostrud is our lector, and Kim and Dane Allen are in the control booth. It takes a lot of people to make this happen, and not only those whose names I just listed, it takes all of us to make all of our ministry happen. So thank you for being part of that. Let's take a moment now to quiet our hearts and our minds as we prepare to worship. That was the cue from God. It's now worship time.
the song.
May our prayers come before you, O God, as incense, and may your presence surround and fill us, so that in union with all creation we might sing your praise and your love in our lives. Amen. Please be seated.
Our first reading tonight from the book of John. And in this first reading, we see the role of relationships in introducing people to Jesus. Reading from the book of John. The next day, John again was standing with two of the disciples, and as he watched Jesus walk by, he exclaimed, "Look, here is the Lamb of God." The two disciples heard him say this. They followed Jesus. When Jesus turned and saw them following, he said to them, "What are you looking for?" They said to him, "Rabbi," which translated means teacher, "where are you staying?" Jesus said to them, "Come and see." They came and saw where he was staying, and they remained with him that day. It was about 4:00 in the afternoon. One of the two who heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first found his brother Simon, and he said to him, "We have found the Messiah," which is translated the Anointed. He brought Simon to Jesus, who looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You are to be called Cephas," which is translated as Peter. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now, Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him about whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The next two readings are from the book of Mark. The first one from the 9th chapter. Jesus went up on the mountain for a potentially profound moment. He did not go by himself, but rather took his close friends with him. Reading from Mark. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them high up a high mountain apart by themselves. And Jesus was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." He did not know what to say, for they were all terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud there came a voice. "This is my son, the beloved. Listen to him." Suddenly they looked around, and they saw no one with them anymore, but only Jesus. Thanks be to God. Sorry about that. But you recovered nicely. The next reading, also from the book of Mark. Now, knowing that he was about to go through a terribly hard time, including his suffering and his death, Jesus went to a garden, Gethsemane, to pray. But he did not go alone. He took his friends with him. Reading again from Mark. They went to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." He took with him Peter, James, and John. And Jesus began to be distressed and agitated. And he said to them, "I'm deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and keep awake." And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed that, if it were all possible, the hour might pass from him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The light shines in the darkness.
And the darkness has not overcome it.
An angel went from God to a town called Nazareth, to a woman whose name was
I was born on December 21st, 1969, and I truly believe that on that day is when my faith journey began. It was a day my birth mother gave me up for a life she could not provide, a life any little girl could ever hope for, a life that I will forever be grateful for. On January 23rd, 1970, I was brought home and my journey began with my forever family. Faith, what does that mean? Well, that is a beautiful thing about our faith. What it means to me in my life is not the same thing it means to you in your life. And that is why it is called a faith story, and this is mine. My family was the first of 20 people that became charter members of St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in Eden Prairie. Going to church and being involved is something that has been a part of my journey for 52 years. To be honest, I've never known my life without my faith. My family was active on so many levels and in so many ways. I started attending summer church camp in the 2nd grade and continued until my senior year in high school. Those were truly some of the best summers of my life and memories I will carry with me for always. In the 9th grade, I was asked to be a youth leader and to talk to young adults in our congregation, both boys and girls who were adopted. I felt that I made a beautiful impact on the lives of many with my message, and I feel that it was my faith that guided me through. In my junior year in high school, I was asked if I wanted to be a camp counselor, and my answer was an immediate yes. I then spent the last 2 summers of my high school career at Camp House in Hugo, Minnesota, and for 1 week out of those 2 summers, I was a canoe guide with the campers in the Boundary Waters. For those of you who have never attended church camp and or experienced the Boundary Waters, if you want to feel the presence of God in your life in a very deep, profound, and impactful way, I highly recommend you make it a part of your faith journey. My foundation of faith was thankfully laid at a very young age, and for that I will forever be grateful, because only God knew how much I would need it in Him throughout the next chapters of my life. I graduated from high school in 1988 and attended Normandale Community College for 2 years, while living at home and continuing to be active and involved at St. Andrews. In 1990, I moved from Eden Prairie to Duluth, where I'd finished my college career. In 1991, I met the true love of my life, Chris, and to this day, 31 years later, I thank God for allowing our paths to cross, for I cannot imagine walking this journey without him. In 1992, I left Chris at UMD and I headed across the pond to Sweden, where I would study abroad for 4 months. I left not knowing if our relationship would last, and it was then and there that I relied on my faith and put it in God's hands once again. We all know there was no cell phones or FaceTime or social media back then. I think it's safe to say that it was the physical letters we wrote to one another on a weekly basis that held us together, letters that I still have to this day. Or maybe it was that we made sure we accepted each other's collect calls, because those were far and few between during those 4 months. God had a plan for us, as he always does. On March 5th, 1994, we were married at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in Eden Prairie. It was then that I left home to begin a new life in Grand Rapids. It was then that our journey began, a journey filled with much joy, sadness, love, heartache, pain, laughter, and true commitment to the vows we made in front of God, our family, and our friends. After we got married, Chris and I shopped around for a church in a place where we would call our church family/home. In 1996, we became members of St. Andrew's Lutheran Church here in Grand Rapids. Our family has been very involved from the beginning. Both boys were baptized and confirmed here at St. Andrew's, attended church camp, Sunday school, etc. Pastor George was a huge part of our lives and played a large role in our family and our faith journey. I can say the same about Pastor Dave and Nikki and the beautiful impact they have both had in Andrew's life. We are incredibly thankful for our church family and are so happy to be back home after what has been a very long 2 years. Being back in the sanctuary, having communion at the altar, and seeing so many of our church families' faces is something I truly missed. From our dating days and talk of kids, Chris and I both wanted children and to raise a family together. On April 27, 2000, God blessed our lives with our oldest son, Reed. For all of you who are parents, you know what I mean when I say that children are truly the greatest gift from God, and Reed was that to us. Being that both Chris and I were raised to live a life of faith and to rely on it in the good and bad times, it was important to us that we would instill the same values and foundation in our children. Chris and I made the decision together that I would be a stay-at-home mom. I could have never imagined the gift it would be and what the next 5 years of our life would hold. Fast forward to May 26, 2003. Truly one of the darkest and saddest days of my life. It was on May 26 that we lost our son, Ryan Daniel Kottke, who was full-term stillborn. It was then that I needed to rely on my faith like never before. It was then that I questioned why God allows things like this to happen. Why for almost 3 years in between Reed being born and losing Ryan, I had numerous miscarriages, and a few more after losing Ryan. Why, I asked, does God allow people who don't care for their children, don't want what's best for their children, and some who don't even want their children to continue to have them? But then good people like Chris and I, who live a life of faith and would do anything for our children or family, to continue to live a life of loss. Believe me, I asked this question over and over again. Why us? It was at this point in my life where I did not lose my faith. Rather, I questioned it, and I struggled with it on a very deep level. That the God I knew and the faith I knew was not there for me when I needed it the most. Or was he? Was it? Well, I know why us. Sorry. God knew that I knew deep in my heart that things happen in this life that we will never truly be able to understand. But that is the beautiful thing about our faith, and it is this. It allows us to know that with that same pain, grief, and despair, there is also somewhat peaceful calm and understanding that these moments happen in our lives for a reason. And like I said, we don't have to like it or understand the reason, and that's okay. It is then that we learn to let go and give it to God, and believe me, I have had to learn this hard and painful lesson many times. Control what I can, take a deep breath, give it to God, and let the rest go. Fast forward to January 19th, 2005. Oh my gosh, did God have a plan? A beautiful plan. It was that day that our lives were incredibly blessed with Andrew Ryan Kottke. To say that this young man brought joy to our lives and was able to help us heal is truly an understatement. Andrew, to me, is a true reminder of God's beautiful plan for our lives and the importance of trusting that plan. Andrew is a beautiful soul who would face many different challenges in his life with a severe speech impairment and a few other things. As his mother, I made it my mission with the help of God to be his voice when he couldn't be, and to make sure that he would be given the same chance to shine, grow, overcome, learn, and make a difference in this world and the lives of others, just like any other child. And let me tell you, he has done this and more. I have lost 2 dear friends to cancer before they even turned 40, and on August 8th, 2014, Chris and I lost 3 of our very close friends in a plane crash. Nick, who was one of Chris's best friends. The loss of our son Ryan, our friends Jackie, Kelly, Nick, Teresa, and Lynn changed my life and changed my journey, opened my eyes to help me understand what is truly important. I believe these losses and many other obstacles I've had to overcome and face in my 52 years have truly made me who I am today. Living the life I am with the mindset that growing old is a beautiful and precious gift denied to many, and that the gift of each new day is just that, truly a precious, God-given, uncertain gift. I thank God for walking this journey with me. I thank God for helping me to truly know the gift of life, life that my birth mother gave me, life that my mom and dad gave me, and life that my faith has given me. I often wonder what Ryan would be like today, what Jackie, Kelly, Nick, and Teresa Lynn would be doing with their life. I believe that with all my heart they are with me, and I smile knowing that God was with me when I needed him the most. I could not imagine my journey without my faith. And you know what? I don't have to, because for me it has been a part of my life, even when I didn't know it or when I needed the strength to see it. This is my faith journey, and I thank you for walking it with me. And I thank my friends and my family who came tonight to show support.
source and ground of all goodness and life. Give to your people the peace that passes all understanding and the will to live your gospel of mercy and justice. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. God, remember us